All right, so go ahead and tell me your name and what your rank was at retirement.
Stacy Rosser. I was a driver engineer when I retired.
What year did you retire?
2018, I think. It's been around 6 years.
2018. When did you get hired?
88, I believe.
88.
87, 88, one of those.
Somewhere around there. Did you volunteer here before that?
No, I got on. They just started making a fire department.
Okay.
After I got on.
So they were pretty much going paid at that time when you got hired?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What was your ID number? Do you remember?
Number 9.
Number 9. Did you get hired with anybody else, like in a group?
Me and Dale McCaskill got hired the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. He was number 8. I was number 9 because he started the day before I did.
Okay.
We actually got hired together, but since he started the day before I did, he was 8 and I was 9.
Okay.
He was a volunteer. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a volunteer for, before he got hired here, and then he went. Is that when he went to Rowlett before that or something like that? Yeah. I can't remember. Anyways, did you work for anybody else before that, or is this your first fire job?
No, this is my first fireman.
What'd you do before you became a fireman?
I worked at the railroad.
At the railroad, BNSF or Union Pacific?
It'd be Santa Fe.
Santa Fe. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. No military experience or anything?
No military.
Okay. Where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Cleveland.
In Cleveland, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still live there.
Looks the same as it did then, huh?
Yeah, just about. Just about. Yeah.
Let's see. Where'd your parents work?
My dad was a railroader.
Okay.
He was in Fort Worth, though.
Okay.
Union Pacific.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
At that rail yard out there, was it the Chisholm Trail kind of goes over now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chisholm Trail goes up it. Right by it.
What about your mom? Did she work?
Nope. House had 6 kids, so she's a housewife.
There you go. How many brothers and sisters you got?
Well, there's 6 kids, so 1 girl and the rest was boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she had a rough house.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a rough living, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see. How long did you work for the railroad?
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
Okay. What made you leave the railroad?
They started shutting it down there in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
So I could have went to California or Kansas.
Okay.
No.
You didn't want to do that, huh? You didn't want to go work for Union Pacific or any of those other ones?
No, not really.
Okay. So what interested you about the fire service? What brought you to the fire service?
I had some friends that was working there in Cleveland.
Okay. Okay. They still working there, or they retired?
Well, they retired too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So why didn't you go to Cleveland?
I did try.
You tried?
Yeah.
Okay. But just didn't work out?
I got here first.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay. Let's see. So did they kind of pique your interest about the fire service, or was it something you've always wanted to do?
No, they kind of was talking about it.
They talked you into it?
Yeah.
They coerced you?
Yeah. Yeah. Sounded interesting. So.
How'd you hear about Midlothian?
Just when I got out of Fire Academy, I went to TCJC Fire Academy, and then they would kind of tell you what cities were hiring. And
okay. They kind of had like a job posting list or something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I went over and put my application in.
I got you. Is there anything that drew you to Midlothian? Did you hear Midlothian and go, where the heck is that?
Well, yeah, actually, being this close to Cleveland, I really didn't know about Midlothian that much then.
Okay. But just saw it on the list and you
saw it on the list, come over and
Okay. All right. When you got hired in 88, we're just going to go with 88. What was the hiring process like for you?
We had a physical agility test and a written test.
Okay. So y'all had a written at the time?
Yes.
Okay. How was the physical agility? Was it easy?
Yeah.
From what you remember?
It wasn't too hard.
Okay. How old were you when you got hired on?
29.
Okay. So you were fairly young.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not too bad. That's a good age to get hired on. You said you got hired on with Chief McCaskill. When you got hired, was there like a probationary period you had to go through?
6 months. Yeah.
A 6-month probationary period. Yeah. So did So like now we have a whole list of things that we have to go through as a probationary firefighter. Did they have something similar to that when you got hired?
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
They didn't. Did they do a lot of training with you at that time?
Not back then.
Not back then. They just kind of get on the job and do it.
We only had 2 people per shift.
Oh, okay. What? So was it only one station, or was it 2 stations at that time?
One station.
Just the one station. It was there in downtown.
The old station downtown.
Yeah. What apparatus did y'all have at that time? Do you remember?
Not really. We had one good fire engine and the old. We had a Willis Jeep as one of the grass fire trucks.
Okay. Yeah.
It ran about half time, and then I had another bigger grass fire truck, but
okay,
neither one of them were good grass fire trucks.
Neither one of them were worth anything.
Yeah.
Did they have the ambulance? They had the ambulance then, didn't they, or is it still being ran by?
No, it was together when I came.
Okay, okay.
It had already been joined together.
Do you remember your first shift?
Not really.
Not really. Nothing exciting happened on your first shift?
No. First month there was a big wreck.
Oh, okay.
That woman died in it.
Yeah.
I said, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. Give you a little bit of a reality check.
This is what it's like.
Yeah. Definitely gave you a dose of reality at that point.
It was a wake up call.
Yeah, for sure. So you said you and McCaskill got hired at the same time, so I'm assuming he went to a different shift.
Yes, he was on a different shift.
So who was on shift with you at that time?
Me and Perry Self.
Perry Self. I don't think I've heard his name. So was it a ranks at the time, like drivers, captains, lieutenants, anything like that? Or was it just everybody was just kind of a fireman?
Yeah, not back then. Yeah, the senior guy and
the non-senior guy.
The non-senior guy.
Yeah, the guy that did nothing and the guy that did everything.
Yeah.
There you go. So if y'all got a medical call, did you jump on the ambulance and go?
If we got a medical call, both of us would jump on the ambulance.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the volunteers would come in and
get on the engine
and come help if we needed it.
How many volunteers do you think you had around that time that actually showed up and actually participated?
Showed up? You probably had about 10 that really showed up all the time.
That's actually a good number. That's a pretty good number.
We had probably about 30, I imagine.
Okay.
But you had 10 that
were consistent.
Yeah.
That's actually good. You don't really see a lot of that anymore, for sure. And it's usually ones and twosies that are consistent. So that's good. That's good. How are y'all notified about calls? Was it?
We had pagers. If you was off, we had little pagers that.
Okay. Were you required to come in off a shift if if something
on fires?
Only on fires?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you live in town?
Or they had second alarms too.
Oh, okay.
Pagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you get overtime for that, or you just showed up? Okay.
Yeah, you get overtime.
That's not bad. That's pretty
good. In fact, there was a man out here that kept putting green hay in his barn.
Kept lighting
right after I got hired, his barn kept burning because he put green hay in it.
Genius. Yeah.
So I come over and that was probably about the first month.
Uh-huh.
I got that. I was there all day.
Yeah.
And then about 6 months later, he did it again.
Just didn't learn his lesson, huh?
No.
That's funny. Let's see. So you had the pagers. Did you have like a paging system in the station that would go off if you were on shift?
Yeah.
Okay.
We still had an alarm.
Okay. Let's see. Do you remember? Was your first fire that barn fire?
I really don't remember.
Don't remember your first fire? Do you have? What's the first fire you remember?
First real good fire is the tire fire, but that was later.
Tire fire. Where was that at?
Big tire fire out here across the street from Chaparral.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It burnt for.
Yep. I think there's a picture of that in one of these hallways.
Probably. Yeah. It burnt for about a week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
All right. Anything else about the beginning of your career start that you want to talk about or you remember significantly?
Nothing I can.
Nothing that you can pick up offhand. Okay.
It was just 2 per shift.
Yeah.
It was changed from then and when I left.
Yeah. Let's see. What was your favorite rank? Was it firefighter, driver, rookie?
Driver.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I could drive and not have to worry about anything else.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to drive the BRT, the big red truck.
Yeah.
I already kind of asked this, but what's the most notable fire in your career? What's the one fire that stands out to you?
Probably have to be that tire fire.
Tire fire.
Yeah. That was,
okay.
Because we were out there all day, and then you could work overtime.
Just keep going, keep trucking along.
Yeah, a lot of overtime that way.
Yeah, I bet there was. Yeah, yeah, especially with only two guys on shift.
Yeah. So
yeah, I can imagine showing up with two guys to something like that and being like, okay,
yeah,
we are not prepared for this.
Yeah. We were actually just getting off a fire right behind it.
Oh, really?
That would come in.
Oh, really?
There was a mobile home that was back behind it, or a street back behind it.
Oh, okay.
And people started seeing the smoke, and so yeah, we had to pack up real quick and go over to it.
Okay. So did the tire fire start the mobile home fire, or was it the other way around?
No, they were
just
probably
completely separate.
They were probably about half a mile from each other. So
just a wild coincidence.
Okay.
Okay. What is there any calls that you remember to this day that stand out to you? Fires, wrecks, medicals, just something silly that somebody did.
Oh, I really hadn't thought about it. We had a big wreck. There was a guy in the fire department called Eugene Garcia.
Okay.
He was a Spanish guy. Everybody thought he was from Mexico, but actually he was born and raised in the United States, so he really didn't know Spanish.
Okay.
So we had a big wreck, and me and another guy, Norman Pruitt. The wreck had a bunch of Mexicans that couldn't speak English.
Okay.
And so when he come up on the engine behind us, we said, "Well, Eugene, come up here. We need to speak Spanish." Well, we thought he knew Spanish.
Yeah.
So anyway, we told him, said, Eugene said, ask these people where they hurt. And he goes, "Where do y'all hurt?" We looked at him like, "Eugene, we could do that. Do it in Spanish." I don't know Spanish.
That's funny. We got a few like that over right now that don't speak Spanish, but they look like they speak Spanish. That's funny. Yeah. But we have like Caleb who speaks fluent Spanish, but he's a white guy. So.
Yeah.
And then we have another guy. I think he's in medical school right now, but he looks white. He's Hispanic, but he speaks fluent Spanish too. So. What was some of your favorite? Were you a fan of training, or were you not a fan of training?
Half and half.
Half and half.
Yeah,
I hear you. I feel like that sometimes too. What was your? Was there any trainings that you were like, "Oh, I enjoy this"?
Not really.
Not really. No trainings that stuck out to you that were like, "Yeah, training." Yeah.
Yeah, not really.
I
mean, I was more going over equipment, making sure it worked.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. It's good to have equipment that works for sure.
Oh yeah.
You don't have if it don't work, you can't really do your job.
You're in trouble.
So, yeah, exactly. So when you first got on the department, what were your fire tactics like, especially with only two guys? Were you mainly defensive, or were you?
No, we were in the offensive mode back then.
Get in there and get it.
But by the time when we got a fire, then one of us would get in the ambulance and go to the call to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And the other one would wait for 2 or 3 volunteers to come in.
Oh, okay.
So usually by the time we got there, it was going pretty good.
Yeah, it was cooking pretty good.
And, anyway, and the first guy that pulls up in the ambulance usually got cussed out by the homeowner.
Yeah, I don't need no damn ambulance.
Yeah, I don't need no damn ambulance.
Yeah, I need a fire truck. Oh, wow.
So.
Let's see. So you said you had an ambulance, fire truck. Do you remember what year that fire truck was or what it was? No.
Don't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't even remember.
Who was a mentor for you?
Mentor.
Yeah. Did you have a mentor in the fire department, like somebody you looked up to?
Not really.
Not really.
They were all back then. They were all, not the same age. There were some of them just a little bit older, but
was there anybody that kind of helped try to guide you in a certain, like, to be a good fireman or be a good?
you had a couple of them that were good on medical,
Right. Yeah.
because they moved the ambulance service across the street with the fire service right before I came.
Right.
And so the guys that was mainly fire related, they were mainly my age.
Yeah.
And hadn't been in it that long either.
Right.
So we were all kind of learning.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. So as you came up in the ranks and became a driver and like a senior guy in the station in the department, was there anybody that you mentored or that you kind of took under your wing?
Oh, I can't say I took them under my wing, but I like working with the younger people.
Okay.
Teaching them what all I could.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Go, buddy. Go. We got Riggs, the fire dog, here. If you're gonna stay in here, just lay down. Was there anybody in particular that sticks out in your mind that you taught or brought up?
No, not really. There were just a bunch of them.
Yeah. I'm sure as time went on and you went from 2 people to more, I'm sure you saw a lot of people getting hired coming through. What's something that you learned from the younger generation? Did they teach you anything?
How to talk on your telephone all the time.
How to be on your phone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They seem to be pretty good at that one.
Yeah. That was one of the irritations that I had with the younger generation.
Yeah.
They always wanted to be on their phone,
right? Looking
at their phone or texting.
Yeah.
I had to get onto a few about that.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So in your career, I'm sure there was, but what was some new technology that came about in the fire service that you think was helpful, and then something that you think was not so helpful? Do you think that was just kind of too far off?
The one thing is the foam engines. We always had foam, but mainly you had to hook it up to your buckets and all that. Right. But then they started going to the foam engines, and they were good in a lot of ways, but mainly you always had trouble with them.
Right. Are you talking about the calves engines?
Yeah, the calves, and they wanted every engine they wanted to be calves.
Right. And
I was against that because we always had trouble with them back then.
Yeah. We still have trouble with them now.
Yeah. So that was the main, and of course I didn't get my way.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't want all of them to be calves.
Yeah, they're actually moving away from calves now. Like you hardly see it anymore.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I guess they finally took my advice.
Finally figured it out. Yeah. What about some technology that that came about that you thought was good?
Man, can't think of any right now.
Did y'all have SCBAs when you got hired on?
Oh yeah, but they were just going. They were just going to them because we fought a lot of car fires and stuff back then. Yeah. Without the SCBAs.
Right.
And in fact, when I got on, we had our big grass fire truck. We were still riding on the back of it, going down the highway.
Oh wow!
With the strap around us.
Yeah.
Bumping up and down on the back bump.
Yeah.
On the back bumper.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of dangerous, but
hey, not a lot of people can say they did that.
Well, yeah,
at least nowadays.
They forgot to tell me that you need to bend your legs and go with the. And the first time I hit a bump, I had my legs straight,
Yeah.
We hit a bump, and I went way up. Woo!
He about came off the back of that thing, huh?
This ain't good.
Yeah, that's funny. Let's see. Did y'all have thermal imaging cameras then?
No, I don't think we did. It come later.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the better
things that came about.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was. I'm not sure what year that came.
Yeah. I honestly probably couldn't tell you either. Let's see here.
But it was good. It was good when it finally came.
Yeah, for sure. What's something? Probably going to be the same answer, but what's something that came about, like a change that happened? And it doesn't have to be equipment; it could be anything, policy, whatever. It's something that came about that everybody hated.
Came about that everybody hated. Can't think of that one.
No policy change or something that came about, and everybody was like, "Man, this is stupid."
I'm sure it did.
Sure, there's
I can't
something.
think of one off the hand.
Okay, we'll come back to it. What was the big changes in the city that came about that while you were here that you remember? Other than, like Station 2 coming around, Station 3 coming around.
Say the big changes are having more people and more stations.
Right.
We went from Station 1 to having 2 people. To when I left, I think there were about 15 per shift or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that would probably be the biggest change.
Big change. Let's see here. Were you a part of any specialty groups? Did they have any specialty groups at the time?
No, I really wasn't. But yeah, they had the rope.
Rope team.
Rappelling. Some of them like to get rappelling.
Right.
Charlie Walker was one of them.
Right. Yeah.
And but no.
Stayed out of that business.
I stayed out of that stuff. I stayed on my engine.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Were you a big cook when you were here? Did you cook a lot?
No, I wasn't. I mean, I did cook, and help, but I wasn't no big cook like Trent Wilkie.
Yeah. Trent can cook. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's some people that like to cook.
Yeah,
and some people that just did it because they had to.
Yeah,
and that would probably be me there.
Did you have a go-to meal that you used?
No, not really. I loved just hamburgers but I loved. Like Altman would call them Rosser rolls.
Rosser rolls. No, I don't think I heard that one.
Those little old rolls that got the split in between it.
Okay, yeah.
Your holiday rolls or whatever you have for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah, I'd want them all the time, and so Altman started calling them Rosser rolls.
Rosser rolls. Okay, I'll have to ask him about it tomorrow. Yeah, he's on tomorrow.
Tell him that you want some Rosser rolls. He'll know what you're talking about.
All right. What'd you like about the rolls? Did they taste good?
Yeah, you throw a bunch of butter on it, and
there you go. You can't go wrong with a bunch of butter on something.
A bunch of butter and gravy on it, or something. Yeah, it goes with every meal.
There you go. Did you have a favorite meal? What was your favorite meal that somebody made?
Steak and baked potato.
Steak and baked potato. You're just a straight and narrow person right here. Yeah.
Steak and baked potato.
Did anybody in particular make a better steak? Like anybody that sticks out in your mind that was like, man, he made a pretty good steak?
Trent could make some good steaks.
Yeah.
Of course, Charlie, he would like his just throw it on one side for about a minute, the other side about a minute, and take it off.
If it was still moving, it was good. There you go. That's my uncle's that way.
Yeah. Charlie liked this.
That's funny. So I've heard some stories that you might have been a part of some pranks in your time.
We did a lot of pranks.
Yeah. What was your favorite pranks, or what were some memorable pranks? We'll start with that one. What's some ones that you remember?
Oh, man. You should have given me a warning on this. I could have thought of them.
I've got some that people have told me about.
One of them, we had a guy, he went to Cedar Hill. He come and we had winter watch on Station 1.
Yeah.
A snow watch, I guess is what you'd call it.
Okay.
And so we told him he had to go because there was a possibility of snow that night. He had to stay on top of Station 1. And if it started snowing, he had to come down so we could give everybody a warning that
the snow was coming down. That's pretty funny. How long did he stay up there?
He stayed up there for a couple of hours till we finally. It was cold that night.
Finally up there and told him to get down.
Go up there and tell him to come down.
That's actually pretty funny that he stayed up there that long. Oh man! So what about the infamous picture here we got?
That was one of the other firemen. He had a big chain around his neck with the big cross on
Barker?
it. Barker.
Yeah.
And he had that. So he had a chain with he probably still wears it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I found that was one of them big heavy duty chains. So that I made a cross and put on there. I was near the end.
I was here when that happened, and I remember when it got posted all over the station, and I was cracking up. I was like, that's hilarious.
That was for Barker.
Yeah, that's funny.
He had just made a bunch of pictures. I don't know if it's him and his girlfriend or what, but anyway, he had just made a bunch of pictures like that. And so
that's funny. So I heard a story about some guys getting in trouble for being at Hooters for something. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I wasn't one of them.
You wasn't one of them?
No.
I heard, so Altman's one that told me about it, but I'm not sure. I don't think he said that you were there, but I think he said you definitely would know about it.
It was, they went up, and I think it was, if I remember right, I think it was Budwin and Cunningham.
It might have been, yeah.
I don't remember.
I think Cunningham sounded familiar.
Yeah. I don't really remember but yeah, they got
into it for that.
Caught. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of them was in a personal vehicle, and the other one was in a company vehicle with an ice chest of beer in it.
Oh man, yeah, that'll get you in trouble. Yeah. Any other pranks you can think of?
Oh man, sure there was. Well, back then we used to all go deer hunting together. And me and Cunningham and Budwin and Charles Wright, which is called Tree.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Cunningham ended up shooting Bambi. And so we posted pictures of Bambi all around town and put Cunningham's name on it. This is Cunningham's trophy.
Yeah.
And so we posted, and so every time he went into some restaurant or store, he would see these pictures.
Oh, that's even better. Yeah. That's even better that you did it all the way around town. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Any pranks that you weren't a part of that you remember that you thought were top tier?
Ooh. And I'm sure there is. You should have let me know about it. I would.
We can always come back to it. We can always come back to it.
If I think of one, then I will.
All right. What are some of your best memories around the station?
Oh, just with the guys, the camaraderie.
Yeah. Y'all smoke a lot of cigars back then?
No, I never was. Some of them smoked cigars.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, see, back right before I got hired on their training nights was Monday nights, and anyway, right before I got, they were going to training and then having their beer party after.
Okay.
Behind the station.
Oh, yeah. Behind the station.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They would have their little beer party behind the station.
That's funny. Hey, you can't beat that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But anyway, yeah, Monday nights were training. We always hated that.
Yeah.
Because the volunteers wouldn't leave till about 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
we were ready to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure, especially, running calls and then doing training with all the volunteers. I'm sure that wiped you out. Yeah. So we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit. Is there any, now that we've been talking for a minute, is there any calls that you remember in particular that stand out in your head, other than that the wreck where Garcia was supposed to be speaking Spanish?
No, the really one that sticks out in the head is probably the worst, not the worst one, but my first worst one.
Right.
Which I'd only been there a couple of weeks, and we had a lady and a man, 2 kids, and she hit a tree, and
oh man,
and she was out. She was dead right on when she hit the tree.
Right.
And so that was the first one I worked.
Yeah.
And for some reason that one sticks out.
Yeah.
So
usually that initial death call or whatever is what burns in you.
Yeah. Well, it did.
Yeah, but, for sure.
Mainly the ones that really stick out are the ones involving kids.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And that's understandable.
That's the ones that hurt the most.
Right. For sure. For sure. Is there any good calls that stand out to you that you remember? Calls that kind of like the Garcia situation, something that funny happened, or something that something good happened. You guys did something good for somebody, saved a cat, or something like that.
Tom Montgomery was a big animal saver.
Was he?
Yeah. We had a fire, and I think there were 2 or 3 dogs taken out of the house. Somehow he got involved, and they put the dogs in the ambulance and took them to a vet somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm not sure how that all came
went
about.
Down. Yeah.
we were fighting a fire. Next thing we knew, the ambulance was leaving with the dogs.
Yeah. Did they save the dogs though?
I don't know. Sure, don't know.
I'll have to call him and ask him. Yeah. I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah. Tom Montgomery. You need to ask about that one.
Yeah.
But I think Schroed asked him after it. Said, how did this come that we had to? Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that happened again.
Yeah, probably not. Not without somebody probably asking about it. Yeah. Any other good calls or funny calls or things that happened?
Man, we always had some good ones, but I can't think of
anything right now.
Them off the hand. Yeah.
All right.
We had one girl that me and Charles Wright, we run on her, and she actually was from Cleveland. I knew her family, but I didn't know it was a roundabout way.
Right.
But they took her to the hospital, and come to find out she had a hip fracture.
Oh.
Well, the Waxahachie back then let her go with a hip fracture, and then they called in the middle of the night after we'd come back because they knew that I knew their family, and because I was talking to her and telling her,
right.
And they told me, said, we can't get a hold of her. So can you get a hold of her family? Said she got a hip fracture, and so I had to be up that night calling her family, telling her
trying to find her.
You need to call the fire service, come out and
take you back to the hospital.
Get her loaded. And her mother said, well, I was wondering, every time she moves, man, she cries. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
That one sticks out too, but it mainly may be just because I know her family.
Right. Yeah. We had one night where we get called out, and we took a patient to the hospital. It was like somewhere around 6 or 7. And then we get called back out there. It was one of the nursing homes at midnight. And they said, hey, the hospital called and said they have a brain bleed and they need to go back to the hospital. We're like, what? They let him leave with a brain bleed and then now they want him to come back? Okay, all right, whatever. Yeah. That one kind of sticks out, I think. So, all right, so we'll go back to this question here. Was there any new technology introduced in your career that, oh, never mind, not that one, it's the one underneath it. Was there anything that changed that everyone hated that ended up actually improving the business or the fire service? Policy change or some technology they introduced that it was like, man, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? And then it actually ended up being a good thing.
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Chief Stroke would always come up with these weird policies that everybody would hate.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people hated the policies or just hated him.
Right. Yeah. I heard y'all used to have to wear your light blues all the time.
Yeah. In the middle of the summer, we'd have to. Yeah.
Put them heavy things on. Run around with that.
Yeah.
All right. So just from knowing you in my short time that when I was here and then hearing stories about you, you got hired on as an EMT basic, right?
Yes.
And then they made you go to paramedic school kind of towards the end of your career, right?
I was 49 years old. Well, see, I'd already went to intermediate school.
Okay.
So the chief got mad at me, made me go. That was his punishment for something else I did.
What'd you do? So your punishment was to go to paramedic school?
Yeah.
So what'd you do? If you don't mind talking about it.
Well, it's a long story. We butted heads for years.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah.
How was paramedic school? How was going to paramedic school at 49 years old?
That's terrible.
It was terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Sit there trying to read and stuff and study at night and falling asleep. In fact, that's what I'd have to study for a little bit and I'd start falling asleep. So I'd get up and I'd run around the block.
Yeah.
And then come back and study some more. So I started getting tired and I'd go jogging again.
Okay.
I did that. Yeah. Yeah. It was terrible.
Yeah. What got you through it other than the jogging around? What was your, motivation?
Motivation is because
just to prove.
If I didn't do it, I might get fired.
Okay.
But I found out later that they weren't going to fire me if I failed it.
Okay.
From what I hear.
Yeah. From the rumor mill.
Yeah. So.
How did it feel to be done with it?
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
But hell, I only did it for a year, and then that's when they made engineers. So
then you got promoted up.
Yeah. So
I got you.
So actually, it was a loss for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Were you the only one that was still an EMT at the time that had to go to medic school, or was there somebody else that they did that to?
No, I was the only one.
The only one. Yeah. They singled you out, huh?
Yeah. Well, see, Tom Montgomery, he went to fire marshal, but of course they didn't make him go. Right. Then they didn't make him go to get his, I say police license or whatever, so he could carry a gun. Yeah. Right. See, they all kept saying that he needed to do that to have his, and Schroet wouldn't make him do that.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Okay.
So that was a big deal too.
Huh. That's funny. Let me see. I had a question in my head and it just left. All right, we'll go back here real quick. Let's see. Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Was there any training that you did, like classes and stuff like that? Like, did you have to go to driver operator school or aerial ops school or something like that?
You had driver's classes around you could take. I can't remember, there was classes in these towns around here that you could go take, and I don't remember what they were called, something back then.
Were they state certified classes, or were just like a local certification?
No, they were state certified, because that's how sometimes we could get our raises and stuff if you had enough hours with these. And so I went, all these little towns, Whitney, Hillsborough, and that, and I don't remember what they were called.
Yeah,
but Cedar Hill always put a bunch of them on.
Y'all, I've heard some stories about a Crown Victoria that used to be a department vehicle of you guys going to different classes around, and
Crown. That's what I took to Dallas every day.
Okay, for medic school.
There was a guy from Dallas Fire Department that he lived down here south of Venus. That he'd meet me up here. Well, and he knew his sister went to school with my brother's sister, college or whatever. And so anyway, we kind of got to know each other. Well, he gave me hell through
medic school.
Medic school. Yeah. We'd have to go out and see the old folks home, and stuff. And he would tell them, so, hey, this guy needs a room and all that. They gave me hell.
That's funny. All right. So we're going to kind of go into like talking about giving advice to guys that are like younger guys now and stuff like that. So if you could go back and talk to your younger self when you hired on, what advice would you give yourself?
Not do what I did. Well, see, the city, see, back then we had trouble with the fire department.
Right.
And there was, we were all button heads with Schroet all the time.
Right.
And in fact, that's how he fired nearly all of them that I worked with.
Right.
Was fired or because of him.
Right.
Well, anyway, so the city hired these two called doctors, but they're doctors in psychology or something, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, they went around the United States solving problems for cities and stuff and companies and all that. So they hired these two doctors out of Pennsylvania to come down and try to solve our problems here with the fire department. And they told us that everything we said to these doctors would be confidential. It wasn't confidential.
It never is. Never is.
It wasn't confidential, and that's mainly what did my downturn with Schroet. The reason that and so anyway, almost got me a lawyer on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing what you told these doctors that got you in some hot water? Excuse me.
No, they just wanted, they'd ask you questions a time like this.
Yeah.
And, and you would answer them.
Right.
And for some reason, they told Schroet everything I said. Well, the other people, hell, I thought it was confidential.
Right.
The other people, they out there did it. They come out and said, "Damn, you ought to know that ain't gonna be confidential."
So they held back. You didn't.
So they went back, and of course they had a meeting with the city manager and Schroet and all that. So he found out everything I said.
Oh, wow.
And so
he just came fire.
Yeah. And so that was one of the reasons he made me go to paramedic school.
Okay.
He was trying to get back at me.
Okay.
So anyway, once I found out that he knew, he was trying to get Cunningham. Cunningham was my lieutenant at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had a list of stuff that he wanted Cunningham to write down about me, about, and Cunningham told him, I ain't going to do that. So, well, anyway, I happened to see this letter on Cunningham's desk one day. And so I asked Cunningham, oh yeah, I said, he's been after me on that for years and years.
Yeah.
Or not for years and years, but for a long time. He's been wanting me to write this stuff down, and I won't do it. And then, so anyway, I took the letter, went over to the city manager's desk and threw that on her. It used to be a lady at the time. And I said, you'll be hearing about my lawyer on this.
Yeah.
And while I'm walking back across the street to the fire station, here comes Strode out of the fire station.
Running after you?
He was running across over.
Oh.
He told Jimmy Budwin he thought he was fired on that one.
Oh, wow.
So, but that just got me. And
yeah.
So
I got you.
So anyway.
So your advice to yourself would probably be to hold your cards a little closer?
Nothing's confidential.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Yeah. What was the most difficult thing about being a firefighter?
Difficult?
Mm-hmm.
It probably had to be, my wife worked too. She worked at the hospital.
Okay.
So being up all night running calls and then having to go home and
deal with
keep your kids, without falling asleep.
Without falling asleep or losing your mind. Yeah.
That would probably be the hardest one.
Okay. How'd you deal with that? What advice would you give to a new fireman now that's having to deal with similar situation?
Take a nap whenever you can.
Take a nap whenever you can. Hey, there you go. I like that idea. What do you think are some of the most important characteristics of a good firefighter?
Oh, man, just keep your head on your shoulders and think about what you're doing at all times.
Just be aware of your surroundings, essentially.
Okay. You just gotta be aware. Like you said, be aware of everything around you.
I got you.
Because there's a bunch of times we went out on calls and we're going way out there at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you go up there and you start working on somebody and you see somebody behind you with a gun and you ain't got no help.
Yeah. You're all by yourself.
Yeah. That was probably the most dangerous thing about the job, not the fires itself.
Right.
Is going out, when people way out in the country and not even having any help at all.
Right. Yeah.
If you did call for help, it's going to be
a while.
It's going to be 10 or 15 minutes before they get there to you.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'd probably agree with you. Sometimes you got some of those way out there houses and you show up and it's really dark, it's not lit up, and nobody's answering the door, and then you're like, man, do we go peeking around here? Or?
Of course, back then, it's not. Now for some reason, you always hear about somebody ambushing the fireman or ambulance. Sure. I can't ever say we ever had that happen, but it was in the back of your head.
For sure. What advice would you give someone in a leadership role?
Ooh, I don't know. Really don't know about that one. Just take it slow. Don't be overbearing, I guess.
Okay. So don't be, by overbearing, do you mean like don't be micromanaging, I guess?
Yeah. Okay. There's some people got too many rules. I mean, I got you. If you try to throw too many rules on people, they're not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
Take it slow, implement.
So let people make decisions. Give people enough rope to make decisions for themselves.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
That would be a good one.
Okay. But it sounds like when you were coming up and you were a driver, you really enjoyed teaching the newer guys things about the job. So what would be some advice you would give somebody trying to teach the newer generation coming up?
It would be the same thing. You got to take it slow, and not get mad.
Okay.
You can't. If you ever get mad at them, then they're going to hold it against you.
Right.
You got to slowly because, like I said, the telephone deal was my biggest deal. And I might have blew up once or twice on it, which I shouldn't have.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's the same way. My wife says they have problems at the hospital the same way.
Yeah, for sure.
With the newer generation and their phones.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So.
Yeah. What do you miss most about being a fireman?
Like I said, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
You're a tight knit group.
Right.
And seemed like somebody was always doing something. You want to go golfing? You want to go hunting?
Yeah, right.
You want to do something? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
for sure, I think that's the biggest thing. So even the guys like Tom Montgomery was in the military, and Chief Lafram Boy was in the military as well, and they both said the same thing. I was in the military, so I see it the same. The camaraderie in the military is you don't want to leave it, and you don't want to leave the guys. And I think that's what draws people to the fire service, of that personality type. It's the camaraderie, being with the guys and all that. And I know when I leave the fire service, it's going to be extremely hard to leave the guys. Not so much the institution, but the guys.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, it's still, and I still hang around with.
Yeah, for sure.
I still go golfing with Widman and Chad Fields and Charlie Walker.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
And it's good to keep those relationships up. I think it becomes even harder once you leave to keep those relationships up. And I think that's what gets a lot of guys when they retire is they don't keep those relationships up, and it just kind of puts you in a bad headspace.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's good. Yeah, I see you around a lot. I see you at the golf tournaments and stuff like that. So it's good to see you guys still around.
They're always calling, wanting to play. So
for sure. Yeah.
So it's good.
What's your handicap?
Oh, I don't keep up with it.
What do you normally shoot?
I'm usually around to 80, 70.
That's pretty good.
78 to 82, somewhere around there.
That's pretty good.
So,
you playing from the red tees, or you playing from the?
No, I'm still playing from the whites.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh no, no.
Better than me.
Chad, I can. I'm still staying ahead of Chad and
hey, as long as you got that going.
I think so. I'm still staying right ahead of them.
That's good. That's good. You hold that over their head. Yeah.
Charlie and I, we go back and forth.
Okay. Charlie was a pretty good golfer too, from what I remember. Yeah. Looking back on your career, would you do it over again, or would you do anything different?
Oh yeah, I wish I would have got on before I did.
A little earlier.
Yeah. Retirement would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
And retirement's good.
Yeah.
If you can get to that 30-year mark,
right,
retirement's good.
Yeah.
And I had right at 31. So
okay. What pushed you to retire?
Man, when if I could have just drove all the time, driver engineer, then I probably could have stayed. But when I had to step up and being 60 years old and having to crawl in these burning buildings with air packs on and stuff, that starts getting to you.
Yeah, for
around
sure.
60.
Yeah.
So that's probably it.
Okay.
If I didn't have to if I had to just drive and not do that, then I probably would have stayed another 3 to 5 years.
There you go. Hey, I definitely understand that. Age definitely takes its toll. And I'm only 35, so I can only imagine when you get up there.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right, looking back on your career, or would you change anything about your career? You just said you probably wish you would have got on earlier. Is there anything else you probably would have changed? You wish you would have promoted sooner? Like, do you have any desire to go to captain or lieutenant?
Oh, I try after my little deal with I didn't know that the chief had told some of them that he would never promote me. So I didn't know this till later.
Right. Yeah.
So I was trying to promote then, and finally one of them got fired, and he told me, he said, "Stacy, I'm just going to let you know, the chief said he's never going to promote you as long as he's chief here." I said, well, hell, I wish y'all had told me that before now. I wouldn't have been studying.
I wouldn't have wasted my time looking at these books. I wouldn't have wasted
my time studying.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I don't mind.
Right. All right, so we're going to go back to a couple of these questions here. Let's see. Oh, was there any change that happened that everybody hated that ended up being good?
Any change that happened?
I know I've asked this question 3 times. It's just I started, so.
Any change that happened to be good. Chief Throat retired.
You're not the only one to say that. So. Okay. So I'm going to go back and ask this one. Let's see. Any big fires other than the tire fire that stand out to you now?
Oh, man.
Any close calls on a fire that you had?
We were always having kind of roof collapses,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't say they were that close. I mean, we might be right outside the front door, whatever, and have them. But I guess there was one over here in Ovilla that we had, and we went over that night and fighting a fire, and we were looking for somebody was supposed to have been in the house or around the house, and we never could find him. Couldn't find out when everything was out, and he was just right inside the door.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was just right inside the doorway. I think a bunch of the sheetrock had fallen down
on top of him.
And so,
a civilian, like the homeowner, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see here. What about pranks? Any other pranks that stick out to you?
I wish you would give me a warning on that one.
Let me see. I think I've got some stuff that
I was fixing to say if you could tell me something that might jolt my memory, but
the only one I've got here is the Hooters one, and then the brush truck one, which I think they kind of touched on that at Chief Smith's retirement. You had either you were in the back of a brush truck or Goldman was in the back of the brush truck and somebody got thrown around or something like that.
I would think I was on the back of the brush truck that day.
And Chief Goldman was the one throwing you around back there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit me.
It's not really a prank, but it's a story. Yeah.
It was a big grass fire. Well, now that you mention that, though, another one come.
Okay.
I was driving and tree was on the back. And cedar trees, if they're very dry and hot, whatever, then they just blow up.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I was driving through and we come up to a cedar tree that blew up like that one, and a tree starts hitting on the hood, get him out of there, and we got back and he had a mustache and kind of like your goatee or whatever, and it was all singed up, and when that cedar tree blew up right beside us.
And, man.
Yeah.
That's funny. He was probably thinking, get me out of here right now. You're just in there cruising around, the air conditioning on.
Yeah, he's beating on that hood. Get me out of here.
Oh, man. Any pranks that stand out to you? Maybe that you didn't do or weren't a part of, but you heard about?
Oh, I'm sure there's a bunch of them.
Did y'all used to douse guys in water when they first got hired or got their first fire or anything like that?
No, we didn't have that tradition.
Okay.
Like I said, we didn't have enough people to really have that tradition back then. We used to get people back by doing stuff they'd put water and stuff in your boots, your boots.
Yeah.
And that ended up being people would put foam, shaving cream in them and all that, and that ended up people started getting mad at it and nearly having fights over it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, Chief put an end to that one.
Yeah, put a kibosh on that, huh? Yeah. That's funny. You brought up traditions. So is there any traditions that y'all had then that you remember?
Not really.
Not that you can think of? Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, I think that kind of concludes my questions. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up or talk about or share that you thought of?
No, I think you hit them all.
Okay.
I think you hit them all.
Okay. Well, Stacy, I appreciate your time. And if there's anything that comes up that you want to add to it or share, or if you want to do it again, we can definitely do it again and then go from there. But
very good.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I enjoyed being here.